Hello, everyone. Welcome back to A Turn of Events, where we help put a positive spin on the future of your business. I'm Annette Nave, the creative director and CEO of Nave Productions. We are a strategic event production company based in New York City. We specialize in corporate, social, nonprofit, which is pretty much everything. If you are looking to do a live, a virtual, or hybrid event, hybrid is when you do a live aspect with a live stream feed to that. We are happy to talk to you about it, consult, or even help you produce it. We've been doing a lot of them. We actually have another fundraising virtual event tomorrow. So it's actually our last one on our books right now because everyone's starting to go live and we're really excited about that. And New York is opening up a lot more now. So we're, it's spring is here. And so we're really excited. If you are an event planner or a wedding planner and you are looking to start your own business, please join us. I'm going to be doing a 5-day free workshop. It is going to talk about how to market to and find your ideal client, leverage your network that you already have and expand your search through the network that you already have, systems and tools to bring that client to a close. So you get the client. Now what do you do with them, which is really super important. And then how to approach events in 2021 and into 2022, because it is a different world here in events. They are starting to come back, which we are so happy about. And it's been a really rough year. So anyone's hosting an event, treat your event production company nice because they've had a rough year and, they really need your support and understanding. So the Facebook group that I have is the Event Planners Society. But if you want to get into the free Facebook, the free workshop, please go to eventplanningbusinessworkshop.com. That's eventplanningbusinessworkshop.com. It's going to be launching Monday, April 26th. It's a 5 days, lots of great stuff, so much information. I did one in February. It was a huge success. And if you're just starting out or you're struggling in your business, you got to come into the workshop because I'm going to give away all kinds of stuff with 30 years of what I've learned. So I want you to kind of get in there and I want to help you. Okay, so my next guest, who I am super excited about, she is really an amazing person and her background is unbelievable. Paula Rizzo. She is the best-selling author and Emmy-award winning television producer for nearly 20 years. Paula has produced health, wellness, and lifestyle content with a range of top experts, including JJ Virgin, which I actually worked with for many years. So I love JJ. She's amazing. Jillian Michaels and Deepak Chopra. Most recently, she served as the senior health producer for Fox News Channel in New York City for more than a decade. She coaches authors, experts, and entrepreneurs to perform better on camera and produce their own videos. And I just realized I am not wearing the right shirt, and I never wear a patterned shirt. So she's going to get me on that one. She's personally media trained executives from Fortune 500 companies and privately owned organizations. We please welcome Paula to the show. Thank you for being here. I'm super excited that you're here.
Oh, and you look terrific. Don't worry.
I'm wearing the wrong shirt and I never wear a pattern. It's the funniest thing ever. And here you are. So I'm really excited that you're here. We're going to talk about Listful Living, battle, burnout, and stress with intentional list making. So,
yes.
As an event producer, I am all about lists. We make lists for lists for lists. I've always got my list going. So I can't wait to talk to you about that. But why don't you just talk a little bit about how you got into what you were doing, and then how you started your own business, and that's a really exciting story. Why don't you give them a little bit about that?
Sure. I mean, I've always loved lists. I've always wanted to write a book. I never thought I would write 2 books about list making. I didn't think that's what my author track would be. But, I spent a long time, as you said, as a television producer.
Right.
The same thing. It's like an event. It's the same sort of thing that you do, in a different capacity. You have this broadcast that needs to happen. It needs to go on the air at exactly the right time. And there's all these things that have to happen before, during, and after. And lists were a really great way for me to stay on top of it and to be able to produce not only live TV, but then when I, started doing pre-taped things and stuff like that, it was helpful too. But I wasn't really using lists in the same way at home. And I realized things were falling through the cracks. And that's then how, I started my blog years ago called listproducer.com. And now I have the 2 books, Listful Thinking and Listful Living. And, lists are really a great way to de-stress, to take some of that brain power and use it for something better, right? You shouldn't have to be remembering things.
You can't. And that's the thing I tell my team all the time is get it. They feel overwhelmed. Get it out of your head, put it on paper, and then work through it, and then there's a whole other process to that, but we were going to talk about that. So that's exciting. I know it's so funny that it's funny where our careers take us and what we end up doing. It's really interesting.
Definitely.
And I never thought, that I would be coaching event planners on how to start a business. I mean, I knew that was something I wanted to do early on when I had trouble with getting someone to help me how to run my business. Like I knew how to do events, but I didn't know how to run the business, and I didn't know how to price myself and what questions to ask and what should my forms be and all of that stuff. And I was in tears trying to figure that out. So I said, you know what, someday down the road, and now I'm 12 years into my business, which is unbelievable to even think about.
Yeah.
But so I'm super excited. Okay, so what lessons have you learned about burnout from your past experiences, which I'm sure, that's kind of a no-brainer. But yeah, let's talk about that because I know the industry. I worked in film and television for many years, so I know the industry, but let's share that with everybody.
It is it's a crazy pace. It's a go, 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 especially in the news business. There's a lot of, here's advice and things that we tell other people. Don't go out in the snow. Don't go out in the storm. And what are we all doing? We're all out in the storm. We're all out in the snow. We're doing the opposite. But, it's a stressful business for sure. But for me, it really was the wake up call came when my appendix burst.
Oh, my goodness.
And about a year after my first book, Listful Thinking, came out, I was doing everything. I was working full-time as a producer. I was promoting that book, going to every networking event, any speaking thing. And at the time, they were in-person speaking gigs, right? I do all of that.
We'll be back.
We will. Yeah. We will eventually. Yeah. So it was all that. And I was in go, go, go mode and I wasn't listening to my body. And I had this dull pain that I was convinced was food poisoning. And I kept saying, it'll go away, it'll go away, it'll go away. It did not. My appendix actually burst in my body, which is like a dirty bomb going off. It's very bad. And I was in the hospital for 9 days. I was out of work for 6 weeks. It took me over a year to recover. But that was such an important lesson for me in, hey, why aren't you listening to yourself? Why are you going at this crazy pace? Because I was too busy to go to the ER because I was like, if I go, I'm going to sit there for 2 hours before they even come get me. And then they're going to tell me that it's food poisoning and like, what a waste of my day,
Right. You don't think it's going to be the worst, right? You just think, it's like when you have or something,
Totally. So that completely changed my outlook on what I allowed onto my to-do list. Because then I looked and I said, wait, what are all the things that I was doing previously that maybe I didn't actually need to be the one to do? I could have outsourced. Or, it was driven by ego. A lot of the things that were on my to-do list while I was in the hospital, they got done by somebody else. And it didn't have to be me, So to be able to look at my to-do list in a different way now, to be able to say, you know what, this is actually not a priority. And this is, and that really informed now my second book, Listful Living, to be able to create the life that you really want through lists, to be able to say, what do you want your day to look like? How do you want to feel at the end of the day? And it's been a game changer for me.
Right. So the World Health Organization officially recognizes burnout as a condition now.
Yeah.
So people are taking it more seriously. From your time as a senior health producer and now as a productivity author, what can women do to control burnout that really works?
Yeah, it really does affect you body, mind, and soul. And we don't even know that it's affecting us because we're so used to living in the way that we do, that when you finally stop and you say, wait a minute, I feel different now because you're not used to going. So the first step really is to notice it, to notice how you're feeling, to pay better attention to your body, pay better attention to your nutrition, what you're eating, to be able to say, okay, if I eat this thing, then I feel like this. If I'm around this person, then I'm super, super stressed out. So, really taking advantage of your perception and being able to say, you know what, like, this is how I feel at the end of the day. Maybe I need to stop doing these things. And, women especially, we try to do too many things. We think we can do all of it, which, you know what, sometimes we can and sometimes we can't. Sometimes we need to be able to give it to somebody else who's better suited to do it. And just, take back your time and also give yourself some time to recharge, because that's a piece that we don't often do, especially for events when, when you're on stage, when you're giving a talk, you're stressed out because you're giving as much as you possibly can. You get off that stage, everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody wants to engage with you. It's a networking thing. And you're going. Very, very rarely do we then give ourselves a half hour to sit down by yourself and recharge.
Yeah.
You just go to the next event, you go to the next session, you go to the next thing. It's very difficult on your body.
Right. Well, I also, so whenever we're doing, we're always busy, very busy before an event, but I always tell the client, don't book anything the week before an event. Like, completely clear out your calendar. There's a million things you have to do. And do not take a vacation the day after an event. Like, when the event's over, it's not really over, especially if I'm working with coaches who are selling, programs.
Totally.
There's that follow-up. And then, then there's still, like, you do need some time right after the event. But I find, even as an event producer, I shut down the next day. Like, my whole thought the next day after an event, especially if it's a long, because I just came back from Orlando for a 3-day event, which was actually, it was exhausting because, one, I hadn't been in a live event for over a year, and it was 3 days. So that's very, one day is one thing, but 3 days is a whole nother ball game. And so I always block out the time after the event. I don't book anything the day after. I just relax. I get a massage. I try not to, there are some things we have to do, like, to wrap up things, but I really try not to do that and take care of myself. So that's really, really important. So, so I think, that's something to really think about, is taking care of yourself, obviously. So in your new book,
and also to have some rules. Like, I love a good rule where you say, hey, if I do this, then I have to, like, even a vacation. If you take a vacation, don't go directly back to work the next day. I've started to do that a lot more, where it's like, I'm not, necessarily meeting face to face with people. I might be doing stuff behind the scenes, but I'm not like on. And for me, I find to have that buffer day, to have, you can give yourself some kindness in your schedule too, to be able to be a little bit more relaxed, but you have to be strict about really keeping that structure.
Yeah, you have to. And I'm kind of bad about that, because it's really hard for me to structure my schedule. I always, because I know people that just, they take client calls on certain days at certain times. I can't do that. I can't do it. My clients aren't available. Like, they're just kind of all over the place. Yeah. So obviously this program is usually every Thursday, and this is special for you. It's special.
Thank you.
Which I don't mind. It's fine. But I like to be consistent so people know when it is. But I've been so good. We've been doing this almost a year now, which I cannot believe.
Wow, that's so fun.
I just started it just to kind of like help my industry, colleagues who were like, what do we do? I know a lot of people in the industry. As you know, I've been in a very long time. And so I thought, well, let's just, and I wanted to get the experience being on video, because, as you know, I hate being on video. Well, now I'm not. It's not.
I know. I'm so proud of you. That's so good that you dove in and did it.
I'm a behind the scenes girl. But now I enjoy it and I don't think too much about it. And that's what I tell people is, you just do something consistently. It's going to be second nature for you. Just
get over it.
Do and get out of your comfort zone. So we just started doing this because I just wanted to try to help people and, in the industry, and really entrepreneurs, have business owners and stuff, because it's kind of evolved to that too as well. But it really started out. I can't believe it's almost been a year. So it's just kind of, so being consistent and putting it on the books is really what's important. So I can't believe I'm still doing it. So it's really great and I'm happy about it. So, and I get to talk to amazing people and learn such great things. And I get lots of people contact me and say, I love that interview. I learned so much. And people, are getting business from other people through this platform. So that's what it's all about. Okay, so in your new book, Listful Living,
Yes.
you talk about tapping into your own personal productivity style. What do you mean by that, and how do you figure that out?
So I'm never going to tell you to be a morning person if you're not a morning person,
Thank
because it's going to make you cranky. It's going to make you annoyed. I know, because I've tried. And a lot of the best advice out there is that you have to get up at 4:30 in the morning, and that's what CEOs do. And cool, good for them,
Yeah.
but like, it doesn't work for me, and it doesn't work for a lot of people. So what you should do is tap into your own personal productivity style. And first, again, notice when are you most productive? When do you start to feel your juices flowing for different activities? Like for me, I don't, get started really early in the morning. I like to start my day, have some tea, read the newspaper, kind of, ease into my day. And then I really feel my most creative around 2 or 3 o'clock.
Mhm.
So if I'm doing any kind of projects or writing, I try to do it then. I have a live stream show as well called Inside Scoop, and I do it at 2 p.m. because I know that's when I'm going to feel my most fired up. And so you can stack the deck in your favor if you know when you're most productive, and you can start to sort of take your schedule and put, meetings in different places and see, how do you feel? If you feel like, oh, in the morning I want to be talking to people, because that gets me excited and that gets me ready for the day, then you should do that. If some people get a little tired at the end of the day, if maybe they don't want to be talking to people, they want to do something solitary. That is all, creating your own little cocoon of working at your best pace, and also not being stressed. And I find that it's really helpful. And in the book, I walk you through some exercises. You fill in the book. It's like a journal. And you look very much at, where are you at right now with your stress levels and with your productivity? Where would you like to be? And then how can you get there? Right. Because it's, I'm all about a little bit of woo woo, like, create some magic, but then you have to actually do things to make that happen.
Yeah, right. I'm the same way. I am not a morning person. I don't drink coffee. Sounds like you don't either, because you.
No, I drink tea. Yeah.
I do my tea. But I wait. My body naturally wakes up around 7:30, right? And I get 8 hours of sleep every night. I'm one of those lucky people who get to sleep every night. And I wake up slow. I get on my phone. I sort of look at what's going on with, all of my platforms and marketing and all of that, and do some work that I probably need to cut back on a little bit, because I feel like sometimes I just get in it and all of a sudden 2 or 3 hours have gone by and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So I have to control that. But, and then I get up, and that's why my show doesn't start till 1 o'clock. Right. So I need to like wake up and have a little breakfast. My workouts are super important. I try to get those in. I've been slacking a little on that, but, I need to get back.
Happens.
Well, now that spring's here, I can get outside more.
Go outside. Totally.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's, it's good too. So
it is. And that's important to know yourself too, that you like to work out, when you like to work out, how that energizes you for the day. Those are all very important details.
I cannot work out at night. Like, I'm too tired. I've got too much going on. A lot of times I work a lot later at night. So when I've had all my calls and during the day, around 6 o'clock, I start working for a few hours. I'll have dinner with that, but it really depends. But I find that I cannot work out. I like working out in the morning. It just gets me, it clears my head. It makes me feel less stressed, because I know days, if you saw my calendar, it's not pretty. So I don't know how I get anything done, to be honest, but I do try to block all my time, which is.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. Okay, so in your book, you talk about timing yourself when you do tasks. I'm so bad at this. How is that helpful?
Well, as a producer, again, I am very, very in tune to how long 30 seconds is, how long a minute is. Most people don't think in seconds, but I ask everyone to start looking also, how long does it take you to do things? Because most people either underestimate or overestimate how long something's going to take. So they think, oh, it'll take me 30 minutes and it takes an hour and 30 minutes, or it's going to take me 2 hours and it took you 20 minutes. So to be able to sort of reconcile that, and also know like, how long does it take you to do your makeup in the morning? How long does it actually take you to eat breakfast? Probably not as long as you think. And then that way I would always be thinking, when I used to commute and leave the house, now that I work for myself, it's a little bit easier. And I when working from home for the past, 4 years. But what time do you have to get out the door? And then does that mean you're going to eat breakfast in your apartment, or are you going to eat breakfast at the office? Because now it's going to take you 10 minutes to make that breakfast and then 5 minutes to eat it or whatever it is. You don't have that amount of time. You got to get out the door. Right. So just knowing that actually makes you even more, just efficient. And it's, it is kind of like a little event, your life, right? Everything that you're doing.
It is. It feels like an event, let me tell you.
Yeah.
So, so you had mentioned something, and I wanted to say something about it, and I forgot what it was now. But timing yourself. So so my team has to track their time, right? That's how I pick them. They track their time. Sure. I don't so much do that just because I'm running. I don't, unless there's I always feel like every time I think there's a project that's going to take me forever, it never takes as long as I thought it was going to be. But I do my time, my team does track their time because I have to pay them. So that's how, I understand how long an event takes. If you are starting with doing events and you don't know how to price, you don't know how many hours, it's the best advice I can give you is to track your time. And, there's lots of apps out there. We use Hours Keeper, I think it is. I think it's Hours Keeper is what we use.
Yeah, Toggle is a good one too. I like Toggle.
Hours Keeper. Which is great. It's easy. And then you just start and you just, it's really simple to use. So timing's great. All right. So your background as a TV producer trained you on how to prioritize your work and meet deadlines very well, which is you do, especially when I'm doing events too. I work by the second, right? So I'm on an event. Every single minute, second is timed out. So I get that. What advice do you have for those wanting to learn how to master deadlines?
Yeah. I love deadlines because it really focuses you and really makes you show up, like you have to be ready for it. And I give myself false deadlines all the time that I'll put things in my calendar that are actually not due for a week, but so that I can start and to be able to even give yourself like little mini almost like mini projects to say, or mini pieces of that bigger project to say, hey, I want to finish this part of it. So it's not so overwhelming. A lot of times people will put things on their list that you can't write a book in one day. You just can't. So what is the little piece of that you could set a deadline to and then put that in your calendar? And then that's the way that you get the bigger goal done. But I find, deadlines are really, really helpful. Putting things in your calendar is helpful. And having accountability, having whether it's a virtual assistant or someone on your team who you can talk to and to be able to say, hey, I really want to do this. This is my priority. And then to have them say, okay, well then maybe we don't do all these other things that don't really align with this one priority that you have. So it's really important to be clear and also to, especially, if you're talking to new event planners or people who are just starting out, to have that mechanism there to almost protect you from yourself a little bit, because if left on our own, we'll just try and do everything.
Right. No, for sure. For sure. Also, you said accountability. I, for many years, had an accountability partner. So this was something in my industry, and we would meet once a week, and we did this for 5 years straight. So
that's great.
What it was, I think maybe every Monday at the beginning of the week, we would meet for an hour and we would talk about where we were, what our goals were, and we would hold each other accountable. Okay, so by our next meeting, you need to have this done. So accountability partners are amazing, and I've had many of them throughout my career. So I highly recommend, if you can find someone who's especially in the same industry, that helps because you can, bounce things off of each other. So I think that's really great. If you guys have any questions, put them in the chat. Don't hesitate to put them in the chat. Paula would love to answer all your questions. Okay. So do you have any favorite to-do list apps that you recommend?
Yes, I do a little bit of both. Sometimes I use to-do list apps. I mostly write lists by hand. My one thing is every night before I leave my desk, I write down my list for the next day and I have it, by my side. But I do like apps as well. There's one called Clear that I like a lot. Todoist is another very, very good one. And I like them for specific reasons. Like Clear, I use to put down, stuff that I need from Sephora or stuff that I need to get from the grocery store. It's more of like lists of things versus a to-do list. You know what I mean? Because then I know where to find it. So in the same way that you would leave your keys in the same place, that's what you want to do with your list too, so that you know where they are. I like Evernote, but Evernote almost does too much. There's too much you can store in there, and then I don't know what to find in there.
Yeah, I used to use Evernote for all my invoice. So like any, I had to keep receipts and things like that. I would put it in Evernote. I haven't done it in years. I really don't know why. I just stopped one day. I just stopped doing it. But I used to use it for that. I know you can use it for your business cards and all kinds of things, but I stopped. Another one that I
use it for packing lists. That's what I put on my packing list. Like if I'm going on vacation or if I'm going on that's Evernote is my vacation and packing list. Like that's where I keep that.
That's so funny. But to-do list, is that the one that was Wunderlist?
So no, so there's a different one. So Todoist is the one that I like, but Wunderlist I also used to love, and they got rid of it.
I know we used it. My whole team used it. I used it. I loved it. And then I think Microsoft bought them. So now it's called something else.
Yeah, I think it's called Zen something. I forget the name of it. It's a little different. But the thing that I like about it too, there's a couple of different apps like this where you can collaborate with other people. And so you could have other people on there. You could set deadlines. I really like Asana, which is not a to-do list app, but Asana or Trello people like, but I like Asana for my team because we know everything that's happening. Every single thing that I'm doing, everybody knows, and we know who's the one who's doing what. So you don't have to micromanage. You don't have to worry about, did you remember to do this thing? It's there. And then you cut down a little bit on email, because email is too much. People get too much with all the emails. This way it's all in this app and you can just deal with Asana.
We use Asana. I have a team that manages my programs, my online programs, my Facebook group. So there's a whole separate team for that, as well as my event team. But I have someone who manages the team as well. So she takes care of all of that, thank God, because I don't really have the time to set it all up and do it all. But she has the whole team's on there. So I'm always getting emails showing the tasks that everyone has done.
Are done.
I can follow it. I can see what's scheduled, who's supposed to be doing what. We also use Slack, which is great.
Sure. So do I. Yep.
So that's how we communicate through for the Facebook group and my program. So it's a separate thing from my event team, right?
Yes. So, but that's what I love, that you have very specific things that you're using, so you in your mind also know what you're getting when you go there. It's not like everything is here. What am I looking at? And then it just gets very confusing.
Yeah, I like to keep them separate. I like the fact that they're separate, and I use different things, because when I get a message from Slack, I know it's from that team. It has to do with the Facebook group and my program. And then separately, I do obviously emails for my event team and stuff. And I've used a lot of programs for the event team. There's a lot of programs out there, Basecamp and all kinds of other things. I find we just use a Google Docs and Dropbox, and we keep it an email. We keep it very simple. So I just
Airtable is another one. I don't know if you've used it, but Airtable is actually really great too.
And what does that do?
Airtable is it's almost like Google Sheets. But, so you can have like spreadsheets, but I find it even better because you can do even more things. It's really, really great. Yeah. And so for, like working in television, you would always have a rundown. So you knew like what stories were coming next, how long was the story, I haven't been able to recreate that in any way because there's, very specific software that you just use for television. But I've found that Airtable is actually a pretty good one that you can do a lot with. You might want to just check it out. I feel like it might be interesting for you for your events and things.
Is there a fee for it?
No, they do have a free option for, I guess however many you use or whatever. And then they do have, programs where you can.
I'll probably have to upgrade. I have to
totally. Yeah.
I mean, there's always an upgrade for everything. So, okay, good. So I just want to ask, all right, so if you're starting out, you've never made lists, where do you start? Like, I know I used to be really consistent on Sunday nights. I would sit down and make a list of all the things I had to do during the week. I've kind of fallen out of that. COVID kind of messed us all up. So
Totally.
what is a routine to get somebody started if they haven't done lists? What do you have advice and kind of what is a little bit of like a cheat sheet sort of thing to get started?
Yep. Yeah. Well, one of the things with COVID and working from home, you can work all day, every day. And it's very hard to stop working unless you have boundaries. So my end of the day activity, and this has been, since I was a TV producer, now that I work for myself and I'm a media trainer and coach, now I do the same thing. The last thing I do every single night before I shut down my office is that I make a list for the following day. So I make that list every day.
Every day. Okay.
Every day. It's the last thing I do. I've been doing it for years. So for me, it's like if I don't do it, I'm not done with the day. Okay. And it also gives me a very good marker of like, now you're done. That's it. Like stop working, So I put
anymore.
You're done. Yeah. So I put everything that I have the time and the resources to do the next day. So it's not everything I wish that I could do. This is not, aspirations list. This is very focused and targeted. It's all the stuff that, the meetings I have to do. Also, what things do I have to do for my clients, whatever it is I have to do. I'm very specific. I write it down, and it doesn't have to be a super long list. But it's for me, it's that ritual of shutting the office down. And then the next day when I come in, I have the roadmap. So I look at it and I'm like, okay, what's the intention for the day? What are the things that I must do? And look, things happen, stuff pops up, other things you weren't anticipating will happen, but to have that guide to continue to go back to is always so helpful because sometimes at the end of the day, you're like, wait, what did I do? What was I doing? What happened?
Yeah, right. You look at my calendar, you'll know what I did. It's not pretty. Right. I'm always like, how do I get anything done? Because it's call after call. But so that's good. And then I've heard like you can prioritize, but honestly, I use an old-fashioned legal pad. To be honest, it's funny. I run I do events and we can be creative and art and all that stuff and all the fun little stuff that go along with events. But when it comes to running my business, I'm kind of super corporate about it. So, technology is fantastic and I use a million things to run the business. But when it comes to my lists, I do write lists down on a legal pad. And I just love Wunderlist used to have this thing where you would check it off and it would make this wonderful noise.
I love that.
And it was like such an accomplishment. I'm so sad that went away because that was one technology that I did use, like an thing that I did use because I really liked it. But I write everything on a legal pad, so I'm kind of old school with that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I use whatever I have, and it doesn't have to be fancy. And a lot of times, we'll buy these beautiful notebooks, and then you don't want to write in it, and then you feel like, oh, I don't want to mess it up, or I'm not sure, So just who cares? Just write it, And that's why I do one list per day. And then, with prioritizing, I do tell people when you're first starting to do prioritizing. Think about what do you want to do before lunch and what do you want to do after lunch? And then that way you'll also be tapping into your productivity style of how do you feel before lunch?
Right.
What do you either want to get out of the way? Because if you wait till after lunch, you're not going to want to do it, or what are you better suited to do at those times? So that kind of helps you a little bit too. And it's kind of a broad picture.
Yeah. I can only review contracts in the morning.
See?
So venue contracts, because there's a lot there. You have to really, contracts are contracts. So you have to really have a clear head. So at night, I'm too tired. I can't review numbers. I can't read a document, and I always have to take the document off of the screen. I have to print it and read it, make notes and stuff like that. So I think that goes back to my legal days. I have a legal background, so I go back to my legal days when we would redline, hand redlining. I still don't do the redlining online, but I like to make it. I'm just old-fashioned that way. So
yeah, it works for you.
So I can only review contracts in the morning, and that's such a good thing, is to understand how you feel and when is the most time that you're productive in certain tasks.
Yes.
So I think that's really important. Okay, well, good. This is so good because it's reminding me that I got to kind of get my list. The most important thing is to get it out of your head, because
for sure.
And I still do it myself, even though I'm like, I make lists for so many things.
Yes.
Jacqueline says, me too, on the contracts. I cannot read them after 3 p.m. I add it to my morning list. It's so true.
Very smart. Yeah.
Yeah, I just can't. And she's a colleague in my industry, and she's amazing. She's in the wedding industry mostly. So she's been in around, and now she's running this. I always forget the name of the organization, but you have to put it in there, Jacqueline. But so this is good, because now it's going to kind of get me back into sort of and I still do it. I don't bring it out of my head sometimes, and then I wake up and I think about it, and I go to bed and I think about it.
Yeah. And it's important to get it down, even if it's like a brain dump, and then from there you make the daily to-do list.
Yes.
There's a woman who I've interviewed many times, both when I was a TV producer and now for both of my books. She's a stress expert. Her name is Dr. Heidi Hanna, and she says that she makes a just enough list. So what's just enough? What are the things that your clients will be happy, you'll be happy? Maybe it's 3 things, maybe it's 4 things, but that really helps you to prioritize too, to look at that list and say, okay, you know what? This would be just enough if I did this all tomorrow.
Right. Or that you have, like, so Friday I have a client meeting for a potential client. And so I have to put the proposal together. I kind of have it already started, and, I have templates, easy to kind of jump into it. But I know that I have to have that done by Friday afternoon. So I'm going to put that on this. It's already on there, but I'll probably have more time tomorrow, because I have an event actually tomorrow night. So
that's important though too, to think ahead like that.
Yeah.
To be thinking, okay, to say, hey, I have a meeting with somebody. I know I'm going to have to send them a proposal. Let me block that time afterwards to actually do that. Because that's where we get into trouble, because we just keep talking to people and then don't set any time to actually do the work, or have the mechanism in place where you have a team member who knows how to do that thing. So you alert them and say, hey, this call is happening. This, or this might happen afterwards. So just be ready if I ask you for some help. So everybody sort of knows where you're at.
Yeah. I mean, always when you have a potential client call, we know that there's going to be a proposal that's going to have to usually come after that.
Right.
And it takes probably a little over an hour to do them. It just depends on the type of event, and but you have to put in for that. So I always, of course, I kind of push it closer to the call to do it, because then it's fresh in my mind. If I did the proposal a week ago, then I would have to go back and review it again, which is fine. But I kind of like to have it fresh in my mind when I meet with them. So
sure.
Okay, good. All right. So you have a bit of a different take on self-care and mindfulness, which have become buzzwords. What are some non-conventional ways women can take better care of themselves? Okay, so I don't even know how to pronounce these. So
I'll tell you about them.
Yeah.
Hygge is one. Yes. So I think people get self-care really wrong, because they think it has to be a week-long vacation or a 2-hour massage. Like, that's awesome. And you should totally do those things. But that is not the only way to incorporate self-care into your life. It could very much be something very simple: how you create your schedule, giving yourself a half hour for lunch, like these little things that you're doing. It's a kindness that you're doing to yourself. And hygge is it's a Dutch word that it's very much about like coziness and how to feel good, and putting a blanket on, drinking a cup of tea, giving yourself 5 minutes to read your favorite book. Like, what are those little things that you can put into your day that will make you feel better and make you feel charged up to continue doing things? There's someone that I know years ago that anytime someone would cancel with her, right? If she had a meeting and the meeting canceled, instead of jumping into work, she would do something nice for herself. So she'd take that opportunity to look at this list, that I'm asking you to make, and say, okay, what are those things that I really like? Is it reading a chapter of a fiction novel, or is it, calling a friend, going for a walk, making something in the kitchen? Some people like to be creative and do that, whatever it is that gets you excited, make that list. And that's self-care too. And that is thing that you can incorporate into your everyday, right? You can't incorporate a massage every day. You can't incorporate a vacation every day, but at least some of these other things you can put into your day so you do feel charged up and you feel taken care of.
Yeah, yeah. The other one was akigi.
Oh, ikigai. Yeah, so ikigai is a Japanese word.
Okay.
And that aligns with, you know, what's your purpose, right? So let's say you really love gardening. And that you just love doing it, and you don't get to do it because you're too busy or you live in Manhattan and you don't know how you would possibly do that. But if you do love that, why not have that be part of the day too, or reward for doing something? That's another thing. I love to give myself rewards when I do stuff. You know, when you do that thing on your to-do list that you've been avoiding and you don't really want to do, watch a half hour of Netflix afterwards, because that's like a very good, positive, you know. But, you know, could you incorporate some of the things that really do charge you up and make you feel good? But, you know, clearly people around the world are doing it better than us. So there are things that we can really learn from them to take better care of ourselves.
So every time I get into bed, because, you know, I'm all day and the stress and the and I get into bed and I do this every night. I get in bed and I'm like, I'm so happy.
I love that.
Because the bed just makes me, I'm so happy that I put my body down.
Yes.
It's relaxed now. I don't have to hold my head up. I don't have to like move around. I'm just literally, my hair's up, no makeup. I always say it every night. My boyfriend laughs when he hears me say that. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I love it.
Instantly, the feeling of getting into bed, it just makes me feel so happy. And so I feel that's like a really great place to like end your day. Even if I had a crappy day, it's like my favorite. I can't wait to put the covers on me because I love of that.
Such a nice reward. I love that. And I also, you know, it started really during the pandemic. I've started to read a lot more and to read fiction. And that's, you know, every night before I go to bed, that's my shutdown, right? I get excited to go read that chapter of the book that I've been, you know, reading through. And it's the same kind of thing. Like, are there points in your day that you can add some of these things in?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
About your book, about where to find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, right. So if you want to get my list making starter kit, you can go to paularizzo.com/lists. And you'll learn all about, you know, my books, Listful Thinking, Listful Living, and, you know, how you can use lists to be more productive and less stressed and get more done, but not do more, right? We don't want you to do more. We want you to just be able to do the right things and, you know, find some more time for yourself.
Yeah, and make you feel less stressed about what you have to do.
Totally.
That's going to help you keep organized. So you've got listproducer.com too, right?
Sure.
Isn't that a productivity site?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you can go to listproducer.com or paularizzo.com/list.
paularizzo.com/list. That's list, plural, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, my dear. It was so great to have you. It's so good to see you. You and I have not seen each other in a while because
I know.
It's usually we do see each other out in the
next. We have a lunch or we do something. Yes, we'll have to.
Exactly. So thank you so much, you guys. If you want to reach out to Paula and get her book or talk about lists or any of that, she also talk about your video, what you do, what you help with.
Yes, I'm a media trainer and coach and strategist. So I do help people who are looking to do video, whether it be with traditional media, right, and do media interviews, or produce their own video, right? So anything that you want to put out into the world. I work with a lot of CEOs. I work with authors, entrepreneurs, people who are, now everybody cares about video because everybody is doing, you know, Zoom is now our world of meetings. So yeah, I work with a lot of people and I have a checklist if people are interested in that and becoming, you know, a media expert or doing better videos. If you go to paularizzo.com/checklist, you'll get the checklist because I can't help myself. I have to make a checklist for everything.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, and then your podcast. What is your podcast?
Yeah, so it's actually a live stream video show. It's called Inside Scoop, and I do it every Thursday at 2 p.m. And this week, I'm actually talking about work from home snacks and how to plan your day better so you're not starving and then grabbing chips. And, I'm talking to an expert, Nagina Abdullah, who is a weight loss coach for women. And I've known her for years. I've interviewed her in the past when I worked at Fox. And she has some really great ideas to, do some meal prep and to make sure you're not over snacking and overindulging throughout the day.
Well, COVID we've all got
totally
the COVID extra pounds. So
yes, totally.
You think we wouldn't have, because we would have been working out more, but I guess
exactly.
We could have walked every day, but I don't know. We've all been interrupted in so many different ways. All right, my dear, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
So good to see you, and I'm so happy that you were on the show.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, you guys, thanks so much for joining. We'll be back next week. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye.